Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, weavers of all races and subclasses, welcome to This Dungeon is Occupied. My name is Illadine, and together with Thorn and Bone Daddy as your hosts, we wish to help you as players and game masters, or as we say, story weavers, from the aspiring to the veteran with questions, ideas, and interviews for your next tabletop role-playing game experience. So grab a beverage, sit with us, and remember, steal everything and have fun. Today's special guest is someone we encountered at DragonCon and were truly amazed by their products. Not only do they craft beautifully made dice boxes, but they also make the most functional and advanced gaming table I've ever seen. You've heard the Awl Father ALL, but now allow me to introduce the Awl Father AWL, the patriarch, the founder, and the lead craftsman of Awl Father Woodcraft. Please welcome Scott Howell.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming on. It's been a blast.
Absolutely, Illadine, and thank you for that very generous introduction.
Well earned.
I appreciate that.
So
we did meet at DragonCon. That was fun.
Yeah, it was. We unfortunately, you had to do some work and sell some tables, so we didn't get to talk too long. But we had good conversations, and we talked about you role playing as Santa and doing some stuff that way as well. So we could talk about that later. But off camera in the bonus content, we talked about how you got started into D&D, and one of our first questions that we like to ask, and it's one of Thorn's favorite questions that I'm stealing from him today. But who is your first D&D character?
Oh, that's a good question. So let's see. I was a rogue, if I remember correctly, in my first character. I always kind of do the rogue or the wilderness survival kind of guy, right? The woodsman. Those are kind of characters that I like. So rogue fits me well. And so I was a rogue, and I'm trying to remember what my name was. I don't really recall what my name was.
No problem.
Because when you first started, right, I've migrated since then, even though it's only been 5 years. so I've I didn't know what I was doing when I got started, like probably most people. And so after experiencing it and understanding a little more about what's going on, it was more fun.
Awesome. So you when we talked about you building a awesome table as your first to, I guess, I don't know if it started your company that way or if it just you made the table and had the idea and decided to make your business afterwards, and I'd love for you to talk about that. But tell us just a little bit about the table so that the audience knows who you are and what the company's about.
Okay, that's great. So what we do is we build touchscreen gaming tables. So our tables have televisions installed in them. There's center panels in the table that remove and expose a game center, which is a television, anything from 24 inches to 55-inch televisions. And you can play in a virtual tabletop environment. So it's so that's the product that we make. It's available in a number of different sizes, different wood types, and we even do custom work. We just finished a fun custom job for another podcast group, and so that was really fun building that one.
So how many tables would you say you put out a year?
Well, that's a good question. Since we started the company in April.
Okay, so how many tables have you put out since then?
3.
3?
Yeah. So this is a part-time job, right? I still work full-time, and this is what I do for fun in the evenings and weekends. It takes if all I had to do was work on tables, I could build one in about 16 hours.
Oh wow. But
it takes me 4 to 6 weeks to get one done.
Yeah.
In the time I have available. But that's, even that's not bad. 6 weeks for a custom table. So,
That's.
Um,
Do you
but
have like do you have a background in cabinetry work, or did you just woodwork on the side?
So, good question. So, my dad was kind of a hobbyist woodworker. And so I learned the basic craft from him growing up. We used to work in the garage and build things all the time. And as I got older, I realized that was something I enjoyed doing as a hobby. And so I got into woodworking 20 something years ago. And I've built bunk beds and end tables and furniture and chairs and all kinds of things. And over the time, I realized my dad really had no idea what he was doing. so I've gone quite a bit further from where we started, and it's been a lot of fun. So it's been really fun to be able to combine this concept in with my hobby, and not only is that, but as you met at Dragon Con, the whole company is family members. So my son is our GM and technical advisor. My son-in-law is the technician who does all the computer stuff for us. My daughters both do social media, and so we've got a whole family enterprise here in building and developing and marketing these tables.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So you said you only got into D&D 5 years ago, and in the bonus content, you said it was through your son. And he introduced you to it by asking you to make him a table. What has been your experience so far with D&D? Because I've been playing for 30 years. So I've been around since AD&D, and I've played every version to one extent or another as a story weaver or as a player. What has been your experience as a rather new player been with this game?
So it's actually been pretty enjoyable. Now, when we first started, and we'll talk about this from okay, let me give you answer your question first, and then if it's okay, I'll expand on that.
Of course.
So it was a lot of fun. My kids have all grown up in theater. I was not a theater person growing up, but all of my children have been in theater. And so, as an adult, I've kind of been in and around and exposed to that. High school theater takes a lot of support from the parents and family. So we were pretty well involved in building sets and helping practice, scripts and all the other things. So that's my introduction into theater, which of course is, a very valuable skill to have when you're doing RPGs, right? You got to know how to play along and be a character, right? And right. Stay in character. And so, so I had a lot of help with my kids helping me learn how to be a good D&D player. So it was fun. It's always exciting building a new character. It was a little overwhelming, I think, like most people's first experience when you're handed the user guide and said, here, go learn these 400 pages of documentation so you can play this game. I'm like, oh, really? That seems a little intimidating. But fortunately, my son was really good at it. And he said, well, he made it easy for me to pick to build a character and pick the right aspects and characteristics and personality traits and then build a backstory, right? That was a lot of fun. And so those were all really, really fun things. And then we got to play in our first campaign and try out all those things. And of course, I learned a whole lot. I was like, oh boy, I should have done this different when I built my character, and I should have made it easier for myself. But so that was a fun experience. But it was obviously a first campaign. I was hooked. We do something really fun every Christmas. We do a one-shot Christmas campaign as a family.
Nice.
And so
that's awesome.
2 years ago was not a great year, and so we destroyed Christmas. We all made evil characters, and we stole the Star of Bethlehem and captured Santa Claus.
I love it,
man.
And so last year we repented of that and made good characters who had to defeat our old characters and
that's
Christmas
cool.
Back right. so
we
awesome.
do
fun stuff like that. That really makes it entertaining. But but part of getting started in D&D is very intimidating when somebody says, here's all this stuff you got to learn. And so when we built these tables and then COVID hit, which was a blessing in the fact that it got a whole lot of programmers figuring out how we do remote play and virtual tabletops. So now all the structure, all the administration part of running a campaign is all in the software when you're running a virtual tabletop. So when we've gone to a number of shows, local shows, and then Dragon Con, of course, and people who have never played before can walk up to our table and with 10 seconds of instruction be playing an RPG.
Wow, that's awesome.
You don't have to sit down with hours on a book and figure out how to do things. And so I think that's a real advantage to the industry to be able to introduce new players to it through a VTT when they don't have to be overwhelmed by the books and the rules. You can just sit down on a touch screen and start selecting your characters' actions and moving them across the screen with a touch. They don't have to learn all those rules. And then of course they get hooked and then they want to go learn the rules, right? Because that is very helpful.
Yeah, it is.
But it allows them to be introduced in an environment that doesn't require all that upfront work. And I think that's a great way to introduce new players to the game.
Yeah, and I mean we're all about bringing new players to the community. I mean, we say it a lot in our podcast that D&D is kind of the gateway to other tabletop role-playing games,
Exactly.
Because it is, even though like you said it's a 400-page book to get started, it's one of the simpler tabletop role-playing games, because I've read Shadowrun, and that's a whole other doctorate level of book.
Really fun game, fun game, but man, it's
really
a lot.
difficult to learn.
Yes.
But like you said, 10 to 20 seconds on a touchscreen, and we're playing, and it was really cool to be there at Dragon Con and you show us how to drag and drop the icons and everything. And if I remember correctly, that interface you said connects online. You can do real-time games on the table, or okay.
Yeah, so we're actually the systems that they developed during COVID, so you can play remotely, like Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds and Foundry. All right, those are the three big ones. Created an environment to be able to play online. All we're doing is bringing that back to the table, but it gives you the flexibility because you don't have to. We've played where four of us were here on my table and one was playing from Atlanta.
Wow.
In the same game, right? Because we're using the online system, but you don't have to be online. You can be right there at the table and all interface together, but you can do hybrid groups and all kinds of interesting things that way.
That's cool.
That is really cool. You said that it runs Roll20 on the table, like it has it pulls up the map off of Roll20, or is it like stored in already? Oh, cool.
Yeah. And Foundry and the others are also connected, so you can bring up a Foundry pre-built, pull your Roll20 character into it, and it's all there, ready to roll. So they're doing some really cool things with the software and the ability to start playing quickly. You can transport your character back and forth between systems. You can build maps. You can use pre-builts, right? A lot of the pre-builts on the one-shot games are out there already built. You just pick them and start playing. So instead of the poor DM having to spend 40 hours of prep time, you can spend 5 hours of prep time and be playing in minutes when you get your group together. So it really advances the gameplay. How many of you have played VTTs?
I've never.
Yeah, Roll20. Well, the VTT with Roll20 we have. Bone Daddy and I did.
I forgot they had a Roll20 account for a little bit. That's right, during the pandemic.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah. And so Roll20, the other two, Fantasy Grounds and Foundry, are a little more advanced. Foundry is really fun because it's open source. So people who like to play and who are also geeks and do software development go build modules. And so they build things that, keep track of your roll, keep track of your hit points, that track your initiative. So all that stuff can be handled in the system. So what it does is not only does it make gameplay much faster, but it takes the load off the DM. So instead of having to sit there doing math all the time, figuring out who's doing what and who got hit where, the DM can focus on telling the story and let the system do all the administration work for them. So it's much more engaging, much more fast moving and story-like. So I just can't say much, enough about how fun it is to play in that environment. Now, don't get me wrong. We've spent lots of hours painting minis and drawing maps, and sometimes it's fun to do the old tactical method of, I got hundreds of dollars in dice sets, and you want to use those. But it's also fun sometimes to play in the new environments and be able to play those fast, exciting games where it changes the way you play. And, I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, right? That's why you pick a different campaign every so often. We want to do it something different, something new and unique. Well, go from virtual tabletop back to classic, change it up, do different things.
And that brings up a question for me.
We were actually thinking about, go ahead.
Sorry. That brings up a question. Oh, you were saying about the tactile with the dice. Can we roll on that screen? Because I know that with Foundry and Roll20 and things, you can manually put in the numbers. Is it safe to roll on the touch screen, or is it something that you would have to roll on the side?
Rolling physical dice on the screen? Yes.
Yeah.
So there's plexiglass over the TV to protect it.
That's cool.
So you're fine rolling any resin type dice. I wouldn't suggest using metal or stone dice on the plexiglass. It will scratch, right? But as long as you're using a resin dice, you'll be fine with it.
That's cool.
I can already hear the hard metal dice going.
Right.
Dangerous.
Well, bringing it to more of from a player standpoint on D&D, when you were first learning, we've already talked about the 400-page book and your son helping you learn. What was the biggest struggle that you had just getting into D&D, and how did your son help you, or what did you find that helps for being a new player?
Yeah, so the biggest advantage is finding somebody who's willing to coach you through that, right? Because I don't know, I know people who are dedicated enough to just say, I want to learn this, and they'll sit down with the books and learn it.
Right.
But I think a lot more people are like me, and they're like, I really want somebody to just help me through the first part, get me into it in an easy manner, right? I don't want to know what all those things are. I just want to know what's the right one for the type of character I'm building. Can you just guide me through this a few times until I figure it out, right? And that's the most valuable. And so, and that's one of the things that I've found is great in this arena, is that players are helpful. Anybody you talk to is like, oh yeah, let me give you some pointers on that, or let me tell you how we do this. Maybe that'll help. Everybody's willing to share and help. I haven't run into anybody who's a game snob and not willing to help out. And everybody understands we're all at different points, and not everybody's been playing for 20 years and knows all the rules. And so we make, we give room to those new players and those learning, or even if you're playing a new character, right? Maybe you played for 10 years, but you've always been a wizard, and now you want to try something different. Well, you got to learn all new things. And so we understand that there's a learning process here. And I think the community has been really good about that.
Yeah, the community, D&D community on a whole, is actually very kind and giving. And I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't want to bring in new players. Saying that, have you ever thought about crossing to the other side and maybe doing some store weaving, doing some DMing, and seeing how you do with that? Or are you still just mainly just the player?
I haven't. I haven't, but my daughter did.
Oh.
She's also become a DM and ran several campaigns for some friends of hers. So I've seen that happen in our family group. But no, that's not really something I'm necessarily driven to.
Yeah, it could be a lot. It took me at least 5 years before I did it, but that was
I'm
back when
still
I was in high
struggling
school.
being
So.
a participant in the group, much less leading that.
Yeah, I can see that. So, have you ever thought about playing
and
any
I'm a
other
little
kind
bit
of?
tainted.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I'm a little bit tainted because every time I play, I'm thinking about it from a platform standpoint.
Yeah.
Right. How can I improve the environment I'm playing on, the table, the interaction, right? What can I do there to make it easier? So
that's thinking about it like a business owner.
yes, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's what you are. I mean, honestly, and the tables, from what I've seen, are beautiful. They really are. And tell us a little bit about your dice boxes.
Thanks.
They're pretty little dice boxes. I mean, what kind of woods do you got? What kind of things are you doing?
So I made some dice boxes just for Dragon Con, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. And so I made them more like a box. You know, I went out and did the research. What's out there? What do other people make as dice boxes? And there's lots of options. Mostly you can get a round one, a hexagonal one, a rectangle one, or a straight line one, right? And most of them, or a lot of them, come with dividers in it, so the dice are separated. And
Right.
Obviously, you want to do that if you got a nice set of dice. You don't want to bang it around with each other. But they're also all single use. All you can do is carry dice in them. And I thought, well, is there a way I could build a box that would carry 2 sets of dice and that you could use it as a dice tray if you needed to? And so that's the design I came up with. It's a little small for a dice tray and a little big for a dice box, but it works doing both.
Right.
So I kind of tried to hit a space right there in the middle of where the market is, and had a lot of people really interested in that. Since Dragon Con, I've done a number of other designs and made some more traditional approaches to dice boxes, sized up a little bit so they'll handle standard dice as well as the next size up, so that it gives you a little more flexibility there. But I kind of like the multi-function idea where you can use it to hold your dice, but also use it as a rolling tray. And so that's how I came up with that.
That's pretty cool. I do like them. I'm probably actually going to get one. So
Yeah,
be expecting my order.
I'm like really excited. I'm like, yes, soon.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, and one of the things and we also offer customization. I can put any non-licensed image on it with a laser burner, so I can, put dragon images.
What about our podcast image?
Logos? Yeah.
Oh,
alrighty.
cool.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. Christmas is around the corner.
Christmas,
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, we're already.
Yes, Christmas is next week.
I know.
Late for Christmas.
No, see, what you do is you take a picture of the website and say, "This is what I got you." It'll be there eventually.
There you go.
But we're actually we're going to be planning on getting. We're looking at the Black Walnut Pantheon from you guys. We're starting.
Yeah. Great
We're starting
choice.
to figure out where we're going to put it in the house, and because we're hopefully me and my fiance are going to be moving here in the next couple of years, so we're trying to say, okay, well, do we do it now and just have the space? We have a kind of a smaller house, or do we wait until the next place? So we're thinking about it, but we're going to be ordering from you soon.
Right. So for those listening, the Pantheon is a 4x6, roughly 4x6 table. So it's the big one.
Yeah,
The 55-inch
nice.
TV.
It looks really, really nice. So
Yeah,
So
very nice.
So can I talk a little bit about some of the design elements we
Do
put
your
in?
thing,
absolutely,
yes.
yeah, please.
So when we started playing, I realized that there are a lot of game tables out there that are available, and they're beautiful, well-crafted tables. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to diss on anything. They're great. But when you show up to play D&D, you've got your phone or your tablet, your character sheets, your books, and you're trying to balance this on a 4-inch edge on a game table. And so the first thing we realized was we need a wider edge. And so our large tables come with an 11.5-inch edge, and our coffee table version has a 9-inch edge, so that you have room to put your stuff when you show up to play. Your tablet, your laptop, your phone, your drink, your books, your character sheets, all can lay out there in front of you, and you have a place to put them. So that's one of our slogans, is a place to play. We give you that space to put your stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we did differently in our table. One of the other things is everybody shows up with their phone and their tablet and their laptop. And so the table underneath is powered. You plug one plug in, and there are, depending on the size of the table, up to 6 outlets that pop out from underneath, like conference table outlets, so that they can close up when you don't need them. And you can plug, and all of them have both standard plugs and USB plugs. So you can plug your phone, your tablet, anything right into them, so everybody has power. So they don't have to go, oh, I can't get to my character sheet on Roll20 anymore because my phone just died. You got power. You're ready to go. So those are some of the big pieces that we put on there. And then, of course, the touch screen, we've added those so that you can interact directly with the map system, the gaming system in a VTT. But the table is also built to play traditional. So I've got a neoprene pad, I guess is the right word for it, that lays in the bottom of the gaming area. When you don't want to use the TV, you can play the traditional method and just lay your maps out there and use your minis and go at it. So it gives you a lot of versatility. You can eat dinner on the table and then play traditional game on the table, and then move that out of the way and log into your Steam account and play Risk on a touchscreen TV. So there's a lot of other games that the table supports, Risk and Monopoly and Axis and Allies, all off of a Steam type of an environment. So
that's awesome.
It gives you a lot of versatility. Yeah.
So
you go ahead.
Is the touchscreen, it's not a full computer, or does it have is it, because you mentioned Steam, could we just do computer work on the touchscreen as well, or is it purely just the gaming softwares?
No, it's an input device. So it's the IR sensor that turns the TV into a touchscreen, just plugs into your computer using the USB and acts just like you're plugging in your wired mouse, right? It considers it an input device.
Okay.
So
that's awesome.
It's plug and play. You plug it in and it works.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
I just have so many ideas now.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, yeah. you can essentially also like stream on it too, right? Because you can plug in your laptop and then have like a TV screen also going as well on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so if you're streaming a campaign, for example, you can direct feed right off the TV into your podcast or your video.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's a lot of versatility, man.
That is.
Yeah.
It really gives you a lot of functionality and things you can do that you can't do with the standard table. But basically, it's a TV with the IR sensor that you plug into your computer or laptop. So anything you can run on your computer can be on the table.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
You keep talking about other features that I didn't notice at Dragon Con, or and,
Yeah.
and adding more things. And you said Risk, so which brings me to another question: is what is your favorite tabletop game? Period.
Is it Risk?
No, it's D&D.
Oh,
but
nice.
D&D takes a lot of commitment. right? And you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do D&D, let's play for an hour after dinner. It just doesn't work that way.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so Risk is probably the one that we play the most on it, because you can play for 15, 20 minutes,
Hmm.
right? So we matter of fact, we were playing this afternoon.
Nice.
some people over at the house, and they wanted to look at the table, and we took them up there and played Risk for an hour. So
And-
it's easy, it's immediate, and you're in playing. And matter of fact, Risk plays really fast on a touchscreen TV.
Yeah, you were talking to me at DragonCon about that. Is the biggest thing with Risk is the setup, and with a touchscreen, you're just push a button, set up, and it's ready to play. So
Right.
I like that a lot, because
Yeah.
I have the board on the bookshelf, and it's collecting dust now because I just don't want to set it up anymore.
I'm sorry I ruined you for that. Well, maybe I'm not.
Right.
I'm really excited to play Monopoly on it. I actually really like Monopoly. So
Yeah, Monopoly's fun to play on it. It is. So
there's a question, and if you want to do this, great. If you don't have to, one thing we ask all of our interviewees here is if they want to create it, we do what's called an NPC of the week, where we basically create an NPC that somebody can just drop into their game and use in any way they can. And we just come up with a simple character, can be very simple, little bit of a tiny bit of a backstory, and that's it. And would you be willing to do that?
sure.
Awesome.
Okay, great.
exciting.
Yeah.
We actually do that for our Patreon. We call it NPC of the week. We try to come up with a new one every week, and it's a lot of fun. It's real
Right.
simple.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets wacky, but
Oh, Christmas zombies. Christmas.
so
I'm gonna keep selling that idea until someone agrees with me.
so the first thing, of course, is I guess, well, D&D now is starting to call it species, but what race or species do you want our NPC to be, Scott?
Let's do a dwarf.
A dwarf, okay. Thorn, how about a name for our dwarf?
Let's call him Stannon Rockweaver.
Rockweaver, okay. Stannon Rockweaver is he's a magic item creator. He's kind of I'm gonna base it off of Scott here. He was doing some work with his family, and there was just something missing about the magic items that are plenty in the world that he lives in. And so he decided that he's going to take it into his own hands and start creating his own items. And so every magic item's a little bit different, has a little bit more love to it, and he gets he's been getting better over the years. So now he creates rings, and the sending stones have a little bit longer of a message, things like that. Bone Daddy, what can we make him a quest giver of some kind?
Yeah, he's a quest giver, and he's like he's typically someone that the players encounter really early on, because his magic items also have a little mini quest attached to them. So when you get the magic item, it's got like a sophisticated like spirit inside of it. It's like, you want to try your magic item out? Here are the best uses for it, and like a little mini quest to walk you through how to use your magic item and the best usages for it.
I love that.
I love that. Yeah, this item can do more if you have this other little
Yeah.
thing that you
There you
have to
go.
go find, right?
Yeah.
And he's always building and selling, right? So Stannon is like, hey, you like this item? I have this accessory. If you wanna add to it, we've got this really cool VTT attachment to it.
But wait, there's more.
Right.
There's more.
And just for to finish it out, since he is a quest giver, Scott, could you come up with just a very, very small encounter or something that you would send somebody on a quest for, even if it's a fetch quest or anything like that?
Yeah, so it could be a fetch quest. So Stannon makes these metal medallions that he casts that are infused with magic, but they have to be rubbed with a special oil that you can only get in a certain place in order to make that magic apply to someone else, to a target. And so you've got to go find that oil and rub it on the metal talisman to make it work.
That's perfect.
I like that. Yeah, it works great.
Yeah.
And that is Stannon Stoneweaver.
Ooh,
I love
see?
it.
There you go.
I actually like that one.
Yeah, that was
And I
good.
might have to make that into a player character. I like that one.
Well, I'm glad you took it kind of where I was thinking. I like the dwarf idea because they're very craftsman oriented. They like to build and make things. And so you guys went right down the line I was thinking when I picked that.
That's really kind of how we do the NPCs. We kind of just throw ideas off each other. So it seems to work out the best for us.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for doing the NPC with us. Enjoy it.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite monster that you liked fighting against in your campaigns? I'm just curious.
Well,
I love creatures. Creatures are like my favorite thing. So I'm like, do you have a favorite creature?
So when we go to shows, we have a catchphrase that we use at the show. You probably heard us say it. Would you like to slay a rat? we have a little demo on the table, and that's what we're doing, is slaying rats in a bar, right? In the basement of a bar. But and so we'll stand out there and say, hey, would you like to slay a rat? And we get the odd looks from people at the conventions. what did you just say to me? Well, come look at this table. Let me show you what we're doing here.
Yeah, I love that you had like a countdown of how many rats were slain throughout the con.
Right? Yeah, we kept track of how many rats were slain. So that's a lot of fun. And so we're thinking about making that a hashtag. Would you like to slay a rat? And
nice.
Maybe making stickers to hand out at conventions.
Oh, I definitely want a sticker.
I want to.
You should do like coasters, like wooden coasters with that. Do you want to slay a rat?
Do you want to slay a rat? Yeah.
I love that idea. That would just be great.
So that's probably my favorite monster, just because of how we're using it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, well, we've kind of kept
and
you on long enough.
And not those little rats. We're talking about giant rats, right?
Yep.
Not
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Giant rats.
Well, we've kind of wrapped up your Saturday long enough. We want to thank you for coming on. We really, really appreciate it, and we'd love nothing more to make this a December thing. We'd love to have you back on again, and talk about how well your business is going to do, because it's going to do amazing. You make amazing tables, great dice boxes. Everything looks great, and we really do appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And
I enjoyed being here, and I'd love to come back.
Do you have any, like, you throw out all your websites, your social media accounts? Let our listeners know where they can find you.
Sure. Awlfather.com, AWLFATHER.com, and at Awlfather on Facebook and Twitter. So look us up. Instagram, sorry. I'm being corrected by my social media person.
Thank you.
Instagram and Facebook. That's right.
Perfect.
And we're launching TikTok in January, so look for some of that.
Oh, awesome.
The talk ticks.
So we'll put the links into our episode notes as well for you, and listeners, definitely take a look at his website. As we said, the dice boxes and the tables are beautiful, and I can already tell that Thorn and I are going to be making an order for at least a dice box in the near future, and I might do some custom work. We'll have to talk to you off screen, but we'll wrap up the episode here. Listeners, remember to check your dungeons, because this dungeon is occupied. What's up, Weavers of the Realm? As always, thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already, click that like button and subscribe or follow us on your chosen platforms. It goes a long way to help us grow. And if you liked the intro music that we just used, it was made with the help of The Hobby Hub on YouTube and Saturn Imaging Production Company. Also, if you want exclusive content like NPC of the Week, Discord access, and behind the scenes, join our Patreon at patreon.com/thisdungeonisoccupiedpodcast. And of course, the link to our merch store, social medias, and all the other podcast platforms are available on our link tree in the show notes. Good luck in your games, steal everything, and have fun.